have been so fascinated by what has turned out to be Women's Week in Space. Could not have seen this coming. Truly could not have seen this coming. Okay, so basically, just to bring you up to speed in case you are just like living your life or whatever. There was a Blue Origin. They went up. I don't know what to call it. Because some people get offended when you call it a trip, but then other people get offended when you call it a mission. So it was a flight. It was a flight to space. So on this flight to space, on this Blue Origin flight to space, you had Carrie Ann Flynn, who's a film producer. You had Lauren Sanchez, who is Bezos' fiance. You had Aisha Bowe. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And she's an actual like aerospace engineer. And then you had Amanda Wynn, who is a bioastronautics researcher, which when I saw the words together, I was like, every once in a while you'll see somebody who has a job or a field of study that makes you feel dumber than is fair. Do you have it? Because you'll just be living your life and then they'll be like, I'm a bioastronautics researcher. And it's like, is that the Iron Man? What do you... I don't know. She went to Harvard, so you had Carrie Ann Flynn, you had Lauren Sanchez, you had Aisha Bowe, you had Amanda Wynn, you also had Gayle King, and then you had Katy Perry. You had this set of individuals come together to go up in space. So here's what happened. Basically, they went on this Blue Origin flight. Now, Blue Origin is owned by Bezos, and it is like space tourism, pretty much, where they will send you up there, you'll fly up there, and you'll look around, and then they drop you, but it's like completely safe. And there was a bell. I don't know what the point of the bell was, but there was a bell that they rang before they got in. And ringing the bell was how you could tell that Gayle King didn't really want to go at first. Like that, like that was tough. In case you didn't see it, I think Aisha had just rung the bell. She was all happy. She was like, "Yeah!" You know, gets into the little craft, and then Gayle's walking up behind her, and she goes, I've only seen that face one other time, and it was when my mom was trying to teach me how to drive. I love my mom, and I know my mom loves me, and I know that my mom, but she believes in me sometimes too much, you know? Like, my mom would say the stuff that parents are, like, quote-unquote supposed to say when you're a little kid. You can do anything you put your mind to. Ooh, you know, you may not get it now, but if you work harder, you're smart enough to figure it out. All of the positive affirmations you're supposed to give a kid to get them to accomplish something down the line, something difficult, right? Something that may seem nearly impossible. And I really believed my mom when she told me these things. When my mom told me, oh, look, you may not be the fastest, the strongest, you may not be able to grasp something right away, but if you put your mind to it, if you put your mind to it and you read that sentence over and over and over again, eventually you'll get it. And then if you keep doing that with the whole book, you'll understand it. You know, it's just, my mom was, always imparting on me that enough attention and hard work could get you to the places that talent got other people easily, you know? And these are important lessons. I look back at the things that my mom said, and not only are they true, but I wish more people heard them, because sometimes when you just pump somebody up too much initially, you give them a false belief that they'll just get it or it'll just come to them, and then when it doesn't, they're more likely to give up, right? Whereas if they're told off top, you're not that good at this, they'll know that there's something to work towards, and that the thing is possible, that everyone who ever accomplished anything wasn't already good at it. It took work, it took perseverance and everything. And I believed my mom when she told me all these things until it was time for her to teach me to drive. Because when we got in the car, my mom was making a face that didn't exactly say, you can do anything you put your mind to. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like if I could do anything I put my mind to, I'm putting my mind to driving, and then you get in the car with me, you sit in the passenger seat, and you going... I'm starting to think that there's more to this whole thing, you know? And so Gail walked up. They all get in the craft and they all pop off. They all get in the... It was shaped weird. But I'm not an astronaut. I'm not a physicist, I'm not a scientist, so I will be using the wrong terminology a lot. Be patient with me. But this rocket craft, this... It wasn't because a ship feels substantial. You know what I mean? Like, the Death Star feel like a ship. This feel like the tip of a rocket. Feel like they got in the tip of the rocket. And so they in the tip, and they leave, right? And so they but up, you know what I mean? Like, they driving but up, right? And so they shoot right up into the sky, and they're gone, right? And I thought, when I heard about it initially, I thought, oh wow, they're gonna be gone. I didn't know anything about Blue Origin. I didn't know anything about the flight. So I thought they'd be gone for maybe, who knows, like a week or something. Like I thought it was gonna be. I was like, man, Gail gonna miss some, you know, Gail King's on the morning news. She gonna miss a couple of days. You know? Like, Katy Perry's got a whole tour that she's starting on. Like, and I'm sure that, you know, Aisha, like, I'm sure the people with like jobs I can't pronounce also have somewhere to be. So I'm like, they're gonna be gone for like a week, and then they came back almost immediately. It was 11 minutes. I didn't know it was gonna be 11 minutes. And honestly, 11 minutes, because here's the thing. The whole thing is a very cool sounding thing, and I've never done anything like it in my life. So I'm not diminishing what it must be like to go up that high. I'm just saying I've been on runways for an hour, and and I feel like for what it was, they should have got some more time up there. That's just me. That's just me. I'm not. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying if you go ahead and you do all this stuff to go up there, like, don't make it a high five. Like, let me be up there for a while, and then they come down, and it looked like they landed hard. Now I've both heard from friends, and then I read a whole thing about how there's this thrust that they use with the landing where it basically goes off one time to sort of soften the blow a little bit on the way down, and then it goes off one more time to make sure that you don't slam into the ground. That being said, enough dirt did move that I thought they slammed into the ground pretty hard. I thought they were all going to be flat when they opened the door. When I saw that, I was like genuinely worried. I was like, that look, ooh, like it made me by myself sitting in my apartment go, ooh. And it doesn't help that the audio also doesn't sound great. I don't know if you've heard the audio of them coming down, but they're up there in space and they're floating and everything. And then when it's time to come down, all you hear is, like, it's the most garbage, like, It made it sound like they were hurting them in there. Like, like, no, listen to it for real. It sounds insane. And don't get me wrong, if it had been me in there, I can confidently say, if it had been me in there with them, you wouldn't have heard anything. You wouldn't have heard anything because I would have already passed out a hell of a long time ago. I would have passed out so fast. As soon as I saw Earth coming back fast, I would have been like, no, thank you. You wouldn't have caught me screaming because I would have been unconscious. There's no way. I wouldn't be up here. At most, you would have got a... Like, that's all I'm hitting you with. No, that was crazy. That was crazy audio. It honestly felt like, okay, because it did low-key feel like what happened in the landing was like somehow everything Gail was worried about going up. You know what I mean? Because this is also what happened. The only other time, I know I was talking about my mom teaching me to drive and everything, but I think the other thing that makes you make a face like that, like ring the bell, and then walk towards the flight crap ship. I think the other thing that can do it is like a bad pep talk. There are good pep talks. There are pep talks that like really bring it out of you. The thing that the person saw in you that was giving you the pep talk, it comes out through their inspiring words, right? You see it a lot in football movies. They're like, Coach, we can't. Coach, we can't get another touchdown. They big. They big and we not as big. Coach, we can't do it. All right? They're big and they're pushing this way and we're trying to go that way. Coach, it's impossible. We cannot get another touchdown. I know all we need is another touchdown to win the big game and not feel like losers, but it'll never happen. And then the coach is like, you listen here. You listen to me. Because I'm the only one with a discernible accent in the film. You can tell me all day what you can't do. But even when you say it, even when you say you can't do it, you know what's in there? It's can. Keep saying that you can't do it. Keep saying that you can't do it. Every time you say you can't do it, you're saying you can do it, but you're adding extra. You don't need the extra. You can do it. You can do it if you just want it bad enough. How bad do you want it? How bad do you not want to be a loser? This team, they beat you every year. That's why we're doing the film. Every year, they beat you. We covered it. And we even covered in the foreshadowing that one of you is going to have a lifetime injury. But every year, they beat you in this game that doesn't really mean anything. But you put your bodies on the line to lose out of fear. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You got to put your bodies on the line one more time. This is your very best I want from you because this is it. You're seniors. this is all you have. Some of you are barely going to graduate. And none of you are making it to the NFL. So unless you want the last game that you ever played in your entire life to be a loss, you'll go out there and you'll put your joints, your tendons, your cerebellum. You'll put your knees, your ankles, your Achilles, your MCLs, your ACLs, your finger joints. You'll put it all on the line, all for the sake of that American pigskin to get to the other side. Because this is war. This is exactly like war, except you're not really fighting for anything. And when you win, when you win, when you make it to the other side, when you get that touchdown and you're standing there and they topple over the field goal post, which is going to cost thousands of dollars. And everyone runs on the field to try to lift you up, and they hurt their backs because they're old. But you're all this town has, because industry left decades ago. And so they'll try to lift your oversized bodies on their shoulders. But it won't work because everyone in this town somehow has sciatica. So it's not going to be pretty. But when they lift you up, and you, quarterback, when your girlfriend tells you she's been keeping it from you the entire season, but she's pregnant, you'll be like, wow, at least my son's going to have a winner as a father. And you, running back, when you're holding your leg hoping it's not that bad, it is that bad, by the way. Hoping it's not that bad. You're dragging it, trying to celebrate with everybody because you're behind, because everyone sort of ran to where the touchdown was and you were hurt, so you couldn't get there, and then everyone trampled you, but you got up, which is important. When you're all lifting your helmets, like they're the helmets of warriors. I want you to think about this speech. I want you to give yourself this speech every day that you go to a job that you hate. Because this is how you're going to get through life. This is an all-American pep talk. Now go out there and win. Or don't and hate yourself for the rest of your life. But go out there and do it, right? I felt like Gail got a way worse pep talk than that. I feel like Gail's pep talk was just like, girl, why are you so nervous? You ain't gonna die. You know how hard it is to die? You're not gonna die. Just because you're going miles above the earth and then they shoot you in there with fire, you're not gonna die. It's just, you know what I mean? It's going to be a little explosion under you, and then that's going to shoot you up in the air, and then you'll be in space. You'll be floating. And I'm sure they got under control. I'm sure you're not going to float forever and then never come back. I don't even think they would let that happen, all right? And then when you come down, I'm sure it's going to be fine. I'm sure you won't be like, oh! Like, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. When you head back down, I bet you it's gonna be so smooth. You're gonna be floating down in a little parachute they do, and then I guarantee it. And then when you fall, you know, when the little craft hits the ground, you won't break your back at all. You know what I mean? That's already been done. We talking research in the 60s and 70s where people came back down and broke their whole back. That's not you, okay? That's not gonna be you at all right? All you gotta do is just trust the experts that have already built this thing. Trust the people that trained you and went through the process of what's gonna happen. And trust that, you know, at the end of the day, God is in control. So if it's your time to go, it's your time to go anyway. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you do all the math you want, but if the Lord wants you, he'll take you. And that's, you know what I mean? That's not, you know, we not on our time, we on God's time. And so if God wants you to die right now, you be dead. You know what I mean? It's like, why are you worried? Why are you worried? Just, you made everything right with everybody before you went, right? Like, it's not like you even need to. I'm just saying, like, when they close the door, just ask for forgiveness. And then let what will be, Que sera, serat. No, she just looked like she got one of those rough pep talks that had her like, okay. And they went in there. And when they shot up, they had about, I had to read this part, I wasn't sure, but they had about 4 minutes of like weightlessness, which I thought was zero gravity. It turns out it wasn't actually zero gravity. They were falling, but slowly, because they went up to the, I'm going to mispronounce it, but they went to like the Kármán line. And the Kármán line was discovered by this dude named Kármán, named after himself. That's what dudes tend to do. It's my thing. So just so you don't forget who brought you here. But yeah, Kármán was he was German, and I had the absolute pleasure and the honor of going to the Jet Propulsion Lab today and getting a tour. Well, don't clap for me. I didn't know anything before I got there. But I got a tour, and they were explaining that Kármán was German, but he came over before. He wasn't a Nazi. He came over before everything really popped off in Germany, and then he actually helped develop rockets to shoot at the Nazis. He was kind of the most opposite of a Nazi you could be. He was kind of like, hey, get him, right? Which did make it awkward when we brought those Nazi scientists here. That's gonna be a quiet day in the lunchroom. Woo! You just eat your sandwich, like, oh, hello, Hans. I see you made it out. Beautiful weather. Yeah, basically, they went up to the Kármán line, and then when you go past the Kármán line, that's like when you're like in space. Now, admittedly, I didn't know any of this, so I thought it was all space. I thought as soon as you left, it was space. I'm not saying I've ever been on a flight and I was like, ugh, space. I'm saying like they were high enough that they saw the moon and they saw like the corners of the earth that just looked cloudy, and I was like, that looked like space to me. It's very spacey. And what I loved about them floating, so a lot of people gave them like a ton of flack as if they were just taking selfies the whole time. It's not they were taking selfies. There's just cameras in the thing. They were looking at the cameras, but the cameras are above the window. So everybody's like, why are you looking at the camera? Look out the window. It's like, no, they were looking at both. They can see the window because the camera's right above it. And so they were looking in the camera some of the time, but you can see where everybody's looking out the window too. And they were weightless, so they were all excited. They're like, oh, look. And they were like, one of my favorite things was at every stage, there's just so many there's so many shots of Katy Perry floating in front of the camera that were genuinely very fun. Like someone will just be in the middle of like, and then Katy Perry. Man, yeah, that was great. That was That was dope. Like, and she just had stuff too. There was one point she had this daisy, and I was like, all right, yeah, I guess. She had like her tour set list there. I was like, y'all let Katy bring anything she want on the flight. That's wild. Man. I was half expecting Katy to bring a picture of Katy up there. That was dope. That was dope. And they were having fun up there, you know. It was nice to see people, you know, have fun. Then they came down and everybody was so mad. Everybody was so mad at them. Everybody treated those 6 women like they were another reboot of an all-female Ghostbusters. Everybody. People were so mad at them. They landed and people were like, why'd you go in space? Why are you floating, Katy? Like, geez, sorry. Man. And admittedly, they got out, and I did see Katy's interview. Right when she got out of the craft, and look. All right. I'm gonna do my best. Okay. I know when somebody is like annoying or odd online and you say one thing, you're one person that says one thing, it's not, in your mind, that big of a deal because you're one person saying one thing. You might not even be saying anything that nasty. You're one person saying one thing. But if 10 million people all say something, we are now piling on one person who didn't do anything but be, I don't know, I guess a little tone deaf or annoying or whatever, right? So quickly, what could have been like a couple people being like, that's not it, turned into the entire internet being like, oh, send her back. That's me quoting Wendy's. You know Wendy's, the sandwich company. You know Wendy's of baked potato fame? Wendy's was like, send her back. And then even, you know, Katy's team shot back at Wendy's like, how dare you wish death on Katy Perry? It's like, all right, both of y'all need to chill because she didn't die the first time. They said send her back. I don't think anybody's wishing death on her. And then, you know, she had her interview, and I've been the person who has tried to help the person who didn't hear what they sound. Okay, a good example is there was a foreign exchange student one time at my school, and whenever people transfer, especially like the year's already started and they transferred, right? That is an easy target for other kids. That's a kid that's not, I'm not saying they have to get bullied, but are potentially gonna get bullied because now anyone who is at the bottom of like the high school hierarchy, there's a new person. We don't know anything about this person. So unless they prove that they're very, very cool, very, very quickly, they can be at the bottom. And because no one wants to be at the bottom, the people that were at the bottom also pile on this person, right? And so I remember just being in conversation with people like, hey, chill, leave them alone. I know they're a little odd. I look back, I was bullied. I was bullied when I was a kid. And now as an adult, I look back and I'm like, bullying is wrong, but I do see where a couple of them were coming from at certain points where I was doing the most. Like there were a couple times I did open myself up to some scrutiny. Yeah, I mean, like there are a couple of days that I could have not been humming some musical theater number so loud in the boys' locker room. Like I could have not invited some of that in. I know I was just being myself and everybody should be allowed to be themselves, but there's also common sense. And I don't know. Yeah, I was definitely in that situation one time as a kid. And I was like, hey, look, I know that they're different, but they're different. Just chill, right? And then one time they took out all the crystals, put them on the desk. Class hadn't started yet. All the crystals on the desk. Everybody, look, what you doing? And it's like, oh, these are my crystals. And then I was like, all right, y'all, be cool. Be cool. And then they grabbed 2 of the crystals and they're like, brrr. I'm like, nah, see, you're not helping me help you. You see you're not helping me help you right now. Who else in the class? Who else doing it? I'm not saying don't be an individual. I'm just saying you know these aren't good people around us right now. I don't want anybody to be just bullies for being themselves, but yeah, she comes out and they ask her, some questions. And admittedly, this is the other thing people got to keep in mind, that some of the questions they asked her were a setup because that person interviewing her was not like a journalist. I'm pretty sure they worked at Blue Origin. Because the first thing they say to her is like, you're officially an astronaut. She didn't say that. They said that to her. And she was like, thank you. And then they were like, tell me how you feel. And she was like, I feel so connected to love. Y'all be cool. See what I'm saying? Do you see? This is how it happens. I know. I heard it too. I know. But y'all be cool. Because Katy Perry was doing a lot. In fact, Gayle K, they asked Gayle K. They were like, hey, what was it like? And then she was like, oh, we get up there and Katy actually sang. When we were up there, she sang What a Wonderful World. We were up there. And to me, just to me, that sounds like a little too much. We only gonna be up here for like 5 minutes. I don't know if I want to be floating, listening to what you've elected to sing to us. It wasn't like they were floating like, Katy, now! Like that wasn't... I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm not saying anyone didn't enjoy it either. All I'm saying is that that's what Gayle Cake said, and when she said it, I had hoped. This is what I genuinely want from the bottom of my heart, is for Katy Perry to have sang What a Wonderful World like Louis Armstrong. That would have been fire. I'm not gonna lie. That's a Katy I can get behind. If Katy was, I see it in the rain. Railroad through. Floating? If Katy Perry had been floating, singing what a I think to myself, be amazing. Oh, that would have been incredible. That would have been. Look. That's the thing that I don't know how much they paid to take that flight. I would pay that much money to see Katy Perry do that, floating. That'd be amazing. But you just, in your heart, you kind of know that's not what she did. You know what I mean? You know she did it in the most like theater kid way possible. You know what I mean? They in space, they float, and she was like that. Go ahead and plug up that one ear. Try to find the note somewhere. And you floating too, so it's extra hard to find. Oh. People were so mad. I didn't even know, I don't admittedly know much about space at all. I don't at all. That's the wildest thing, is that I shouldn't even tell you this, but basically, okay. So I went to the Jet Propulsion Lab, and they showed us these arrows that are basically tracking pretty much like all the things that are known, right? So pointing at Mars, pointing at certain like planets, moons, everything, and the arrows will randomly change based on what they're pointing at. And admittedly, this is how dumb I am, right? I was confused when everything wasn't just pointing up. I'm not a flat earther. But I can see how people get there, because in my head, it said Mars and then it went left, and I was like, Mars ain't left. This thing broken. Mars ain't left at all. That's crazy. Mars supposed to be up. I'm getting an attitude in my head. I'm like, Mars supposed to be up. What you mean Venus down? You ever been, that's where China is. People don't have any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild. They just It went to a point at Saturn, and it was pointed at me. I was like, this thing broke, dog. I'm telling you. No, I don't know much about space, and there were so many people that were like, they faked the whole thing. They didn't even go up. They never went up at all. The whole launch was AI, and then when they landed, that was a tape from a different time, because those people definitely died. And it's like, no, they don't need to fake it. They don't. I'm not trying to come out in support of like Blue Origin specifically, but it's like they don't need to fake it. This is like the 11th one that they did. They did like 10 of these already, and no one cared. Like, they didn't do the whole press run like they did for this one, so they just did 9 of them in peace. The first one that they did, I think, was William Shatner was on it, and he was like, I was saying all this space stuff, and it's like, bro, you also... Like, that is the one thing I'll say. That is like the one critique that I have of the internet's response to this, is that it's like, a part of me is like, y'all are mad because it's all women. You know what I mean? When William Shatner got off and he was saying all the space stuff, you were like, oh, William Shatner got to go to space. That's so cool. And it's like, yeah, that is cool. That it's cool for anybody to get to go to space, because it's space. It's rare, you know? But you can't let him off the hook for saying like hoity-toity stuff just because he played space. This is my thing. Maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but I was happy for Gail that she got to go. I know that she's not, you know, like an astronaut. I know she's not trained in this sort of thing, but Gail needs a break. We make Gail interview everybody before their life fall apart. We made Gail interview R. Kelly right before jail. Don't act like you don't remember that. We made Gail sit there. R. Kelly know he going to jail too. You could smell the jail on him. He knew he was going to jail. That's why he was sitting there, didn't know what to do. He was half singing, half crying. Is this working? Sweating, people coming up to blot the sweat off, and you're like, y'all killing me! Hitting notes while he screams. Gail had to sit there the whole time. Robert. Robert. Are these cameras on? I hope these cameras are. Robert. Gail needed a break. Let her have a break. You know, let her go to space for a second. Because there's not that many differences. Tons of similarities in the people who went up to space and the people that went to Coachella. There's a ton. Both have potentially horrific bathroom experiences. You know what I mean? Like true, imagine. Because first of all, you at Coachella, right? And you just trying to get through your day, see your favorite bands, have experiences with your friends. You're financing this thing. It's going to take you months to pay off, trying to make the most of it. And so maybe, yeah, you had a chili dog before you came. Now you're standing there, sort of stand dancing, listening to Weezer. Sick riff comes in, and right then you feel it. Not a quiet one. A quiet one is your body telling you, hurry. You ever have one of those quiet ones that like, it's just a moment, and only you know it happened. You're the only person in the world that knows. It reminds me of those moments in a horror movie where a little kid's like, run. So you book it. You go out of whatever badge area you have and everything. You don't care about anything. You're just running, trying to get through. And what do you find? A line. A line to use one of the most blown out porta potties in the history of America. This thing, it's like a little wooden. It's like they're not even supposed to be wooden anymore. This is from Woodstock, 1977. Same thing. You know, maybe try and make the most of life. You get this incredible experience. You get to go to space. You get to go to space with these incredible new women that have come into your life through this experience. You've had your 2 days of training together, getting to know each other, doing this like op-ed together and everything, and you try and enjoy life to the fullest, and so you do. You get ready to go on this space trip. It's going to be 11 minutes, but they're going to be an incredible 11 minutes of your life. And so yeah, before you leave home, you have a chili dog. You have a chili dog, and you're walking on, and you ring the bell. You're having a good time. You strap in and everything, and right as you strap in, you're waiting to take off, and you hear. They take off, you feel a couple G's, you're like, no. You get into space. You almost touch the Kármán line. Then you hit the ground. You hit the ground. Plop. Okay. I made it. 11 minutes. I held it together. You pop out of the little pod, trying to calmly look for the nearest bathroom. Everybody clapping. Everybody clapping. Oprah there, the Jenners, everybody clapping. And then somebody runs up. How's it feel to be an astronaut? Can I tell you in 5 minutes? Oh, there's a ton of similarities with Space Trip and Coachella, both cool outfits. You know, people at Coachella usually make theirs, but they have these cool suits made and everything. Both things sponsored by Amazon, sponsored by Bezos. Both things yield really interesting, esoteric captions on Instagram. You know, they ask Katy Perry how she feels, and she goes, "I feel so connected to love." This is the most powerful spiritual loving experience I've had, second to the birth of my child, right? And be honest. Tell me that's also not an Instagram caption about Coachella. Like that, like if we're being fair, you know? When I watched Katie's interview right out of the pod, I was like, y'all clouded this woman just because the edibles hit. Like, everyone was so mad. They were so mad. And I don't even think they're mad at, like, Katy or any of those women. I don't think they're mad that, like, the thing is, like, tone deaf in nature or whatever. I think they're mad because people are, like, having a hard time living. Do you know what I mean? It's like they are kind of like the easy placeholder right now for how we feel about how the actual world is. No one's really mad at them. If they had gone and come back, you wouldn't have known. That's how little it affects our actual lives. But we're mad because we see it and we see because the thing, the thing with the Blue Origin as well is we don't actually know how much it costs to go up. And we know some people get invited to go up and some people have to pay. But they do a thing, and this is very crafty. This is how the rich stay rich, right? We know that it's like $150K deposit if you want to go. We don't know what the next installments are. And I feel like we don't know what the next installments are so they can charge people different stuff. Because maybe you put down 150 and then you have to pay another 150 to go up. And then you put down 150, but you got to pay 500,000 to go up. And as long as y'all don't talk, it's all good. Because these people come together from all walks of life and all these different places in the world, and they go up. But for a similar flight, for a similar flight to what they did, there was a guy who paid $28 million. All right? He's allowed to be mad. He's allowed to be mad that anybody got to do it for free because 28 million, even if you're a billionaire, 28 million is still a dent. Like, that's wild, 28 million. So I'm just saying, it's wild that thing, we're assuming anyone on that flight had to pay. I can't imagine Bezos making his fiance pay. You know, I don't know if anybody on that flight paid. And I know that the only poor version that we have of what they did is froyo. Because you ever been filling up your cup and you don't have that much of your account, so you gotta fill it with hope. You gotta hope that, like, that's a lot of air. That's a lot of air. Let's just put it on the weight right here. $5.50, thank goodness. One time I was getting froyo and I was by myself, but there was a woman checking out before me, and she had stuffed it, got the cookie dough in there, and she had the M&Ms. She had a couple extra flavors, and it was high. It was like a little pyramid of froyo and everything. And then old boy went to ring her up, and it was $135. And I was like, I know he lifted the scale because I'm looking at $17 easy. And then it was my turn. And I put my little one flavor with 2 popping bobas in there. And he rang me up for $13.59. And I was like, so... you got your thumb on it, or what you do? This is crazy. Because I don't think we're that mad at them. I think what's actually happening is that it's very hard to get by right now, and it's hard to escape. And I don't know. Everyone could use a little escapism one way or another, and we're losing access to that because whether you want to go on spring break, and spring break is the most expensive it's been in potentially recorded history. Or you want to just go to Coachella. Dude, Coachella tickets. So I didn't even know this was happening. Apparently there are people that are like financing their Coachella trip in like installments. Like they putting Coachella on layaway. And it's not like some people. Apparently it's like 60% of ticket goers are like on a payment plan for Coachella, which is insane. That's wild. That you, in increments, long after, you still paying for Coachella, long after Coachella and stuff. And then you see these people who get a break. They get to go to space for free. And you know they could have paid. You know they could afford to pay it. You get angry. And I think people would be less angry if they just went ahead and whether they did a whole flight or half a flight filled with people who just need a break. You know what I mean? That's all you gotta do. Just get like two of the most tired moms you can find. And you barely have to pitch them. It's like, look, you will be weightless for 5 minutes. They'll be like, put it in my veins. You know, just find like one server who's done like 2 doubles in 2 days. You will go to space. Be able to hear anything. Yes, that sounds right. You know, somebody that's down on their luck just needs to pick me up. Somebody who life has been incredibly hard for. You just grab them and you tell them, hey, I want to give you a trip to space. It won't be long, but it'll be spectacular. You will see Earth in the way that few people will ever get to. In their entire lives. You'll see the beauty of the entirety of the planet, and you'll see how small all these people, all these problems, all these things are in the grand scheme of the universe. And Katy Perry will sing What a Wonderful World like Louis Armstrong to you. It'll be spectacular. Y'all been amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have a fantastic night.